Hello everyone, so this is Ravi Ranjan and in this video we will be talking about mechanism of hormone action. So we talked about endocrine glands. Endocrine glands are ductless glands which produce hormones. And hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intercellular messengers and are produced in trace amounts. There are various endocrine glands in our body which produce different types of hormones. And when we try to look at these hormones, we see they can be broadly classified into different chemical classes. So some of the hormones produced by these endocrine glands are peptides or proteins. Others may be modified amino acids, and some others yet are belonging to another class what we call as steroids. So these hormones are different from each other with respect to their solubility. While steroids are lipid soluble, the polypeptides and most amino acid derivatives are not soluble in lipids. And there is an exception to this rule as well. The thyroid hormones, which are triiodothyronine or T3 and thyroxine or T4, these are produced by thyroid glands, and these hormones are also amino acid derivative. They are formed from tyrosine, but they are still lipid soluble. So we have now two categories of these hormones. Some of them are water soluble and others are lipid soluble. We can call these water soluble as lipid insoluble, and similarly the lipid soluble hormones are water insoluble. Now why are we talking about this water or lipid solubility? Is because of their ability to cross the cell membrane. As we know, the cell membrane is made up of a lipid bilayer, and now those hormones which are chemically lipid soluble, they will find it easy for them to cross this lipid bilayer. But those hormones which are made up of amino acids or proteins, so mostly they will not be able to cross this lipid bilayer because they are not lipid soluble, or rather we can say they are water soluble. So you can see the peptides and polypeptides, they are not lipid soluble, and hence they cannot cross the membrane, and that is why they will need to bind to receptors on surface of a target cell. Such receptors are called as cell surface receptors, and same is the case with amino acid derivatives. However, we just talked that there is an exception, and the exception is your thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones are also amino acid derivatives. They are derived from the amino acid tyrosine, but they are different from others in respect that they can easily cross the lipid bilayer, that is they are lipid soluble. But most of the amino acid derivative hormone, they are not lipid soluble, and since they are not lipid soluble, they will also require to bind with receptors which are present on the surface of the cell membrane. So this is the one category which include peptides and polypeptides and most of the amino acid derivatives. These hormones, they cannot cross the lipid bilayer and they bind to their receptors present on the cell surface. On the other hand, we have another group, that is your steroids, and then these thyroid hormones as well. So they can pass through the lipid bilayer because they are lipid soluble, and they bind to receptors present inside target cell. Since they are present inside target cell, so they are also called as intracellular receptors. So we will talk about the mechanism of hormone actions for both these water soluble and water insoluble or lipid soluble hormones. So first we will take example of epinephrine. Epinephrine, if you remember, is a hormone which is produced by adrenal gland. So adrenal gland produce this epinephrine, which is again amino acid derivative. And as we talked previously, amino acid derivatives are water soluble hormones. They are not soluble in lipids, and hence they cannot pass through the lipid bilayer. So this epinephrine bind to receptor, which is a cell surface receptor that is present on the surface of the cell. The hormone molecule bind to the binding site of the receptor and then proceeds for a cascade of reactions. So this binding of hormone molecule with the receptor causes conformational changes that further activates other proteins. So for example, we can see here in this case that this receptor, after getting activated due to binding of the hormone molecule, bind to another protein, another molecule, what we call as G protein. So this G protein is activated but only in the presence of a hormone molecule. As soon as this G protein is activated, it acts upon another molecule, what we call as adenylyl cyclase. Adenylyl cyclase is activated and this catalyzes formation of cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP is here referred to as second messenger. Now you see, the hormone molecule is the first messenger or the primary messenger, but since it cannot pass through the lipid bilayer, it produces another molecule that now carries the signal forward so that the response is generated, and that is why these molecules are called as second messengers. Now cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase A is activated. This protein kinase A activates phosphorylase kinase, and phosphorylase kinase further activates phosphorylase. So you can see there is a series or a cascade of reactions that take one after another. So in this way, finally a response is generated. In this case, glucose is produced from glycogen. So you see, we call this epinephrine and norepinephrine as fight or flight hormone or a stress hormones. So in a stress condition, there will be requirement of more and more energy, and so glucose is produced from glycogen. So in the book we have again given another example of FSH. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. So follicle stimulating hormone is acting upon the ovaries and stimulates formation of ovarian follicles. So again, this hormone is not able to pass through the membrane. If you go back to the list, you can see these hormones FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, is a glycoprotein, and since it is proteinaceous, it will not be able to pass through the lipid bilayer because it is water soluble. So now this hormone bind to the receptor present on the surface of the cell. It will now generate a response. There will be a cascade of reactions. A second messenger is formed. Second messenger, in previous example we saw cyclic AMP, but there can be others as well, for example calcium ions, and this second messenger further proceed this cascade of reactions and biochemical responses are generated, which further lead finally to physiological responses. For example, in this case, FSH will lead to ovarian growth. So these changes which are taking place inside the cell is what we discussed in this example. Now coming to a steroid hormone action. For steroid hormone action, they are lipid soluble. They can pass through the lipid bilayer. They bind to the hormone receptor, and in this way there is formation of hormone receptor complex. Hormone diffuses into target cell. Hormone bind to receptor, induces conformational change. Now this hormone receptor complex may be formed in the cytoplasm in case of cytoplasmic receptor, or it may be formed in the nucleus in case of nuclear receptor. So intracellular receptors can be of two types. They can be cytoplasmic or they can be nuclear receptor. In either case, the hormone receptor complex moves to the nucleus if it is cytoplasmic, or it is well within the nucleus if it is nuclear. It binds to DNA molecule. So in DNA there are specific sequences to which this hormone receptor complex binds. They are called as hormone response element. So this hormone receptor complex enters nucleus, binds to DNA, and binding of this hormone receptor complex induces transcription, or you can say they can alter gene expression. So gene expression, if you remember, so there is flow of information from DNA to RNA and RNA to protein. So this DNA to RNA is called as transcription, and RNA to protein is called as translation. So once this hormone receptor complex bind to these specific DNA sequences, the gene expression is altered. Since there will be changes in RNA transcription rate, it will further be reflected in the rate of protein synthesis. So DNA leads to formation of mRNA by the process of transcription, and RNA is then translated into proteins. So each transcript that is your RNA is translated many times, further amplifying the signal. So as we move from one step to another, the signal is amplified in the sense that its effect is magnified. So this is given in our book. So again, in this case there is estrogen. Estrogen is a steroid hormone which can pass through the lipid bilayer as it is lipid soluble. So it enters, it binds to the receptor. In this case here they have shown nuclear receptor. So there is formation of hormone receptor complex. Now this hormone receptor complex bind to DNA as shown earlier, and then alters the gene expression process. So this alteration in gene expression process lead to changes in production of mRNA that ultimately has effect on translation of proteins, and then these proteins regulates various physiological responses. So in both these cases we saw there is a cascade of reaction that proceed after binding of hormone molecule to the receptor molecule.